Heroes! Nailed it. Over the many ages of comic book and pulp fiction history, one era will always stand as the pinnacle of being made of stories nobody has read.
So much nobody, in fact, that many of them now exist in the public domain.
Like Captain Battle, Silver Streak's patriotic powerhouse.
And the Black Bat, Black Book Detective's Nemesis of Crime.
In this episode, we'll be focusing on the primary original stories of Jonathan Battle and Tony Quinn, ignoring other versions of the character such as Captain Battle Jr., the rebooted Captain Battle Juan Baca, the briefly seen first Black Bat of unknown name, or the Black Bat's 2011 successor, Steve Ventura.
Although both characters now exist in the public domain, our scope will be on their original canon, concerning Captain Battle's original run in the Silver Streak comics, as well as his solo series and the events of his son's story, and the Black Bat's nearly 70 total novellas told within his home magazine.
Their modern-day mockbusters, public domain revivals, or even that one-time Captain Fraud survived an attack from Tomcat Studios' Metal Man will not be considered to keep this fight from coming down to whatever random drawing online features them finding the strongest character. Look, I drew the Black Bat one-shotted Goku. This isn't viable media for the episode.
In other words, he's no his and I'm his only friend.
And it's our job to analyze their weapons, arsenals, and equipment to find out who would win a not death battle. World War II. The deadliest conflict in history ran for just over 6 years, from 1939 to 1945, as the global coalitions of the Allies and the Axis soaked the world in shades of red.
It was in this period, during 1940, that Timely Comics published a new superhero to try and match the growing popularity of their rival, National Comics Publications' very own Superman.
Freelancer Joe Simon and artist Jack Kirby conceived the hero to stand for America, a direct response to the United States' then non-interventionism, and an anti-fascist symbol known as Captain America.
From then on, several more heroes would be made to try and capitalize off the success of this shield-wielding patriotic super soldier, from 1941's Super American to 1942's Guardian, and one even from a little-known company known as Lev Gleason Publishing.
The brainchild of one Leverett Stone Gleason, Silver Streak Comics number 11 would debut an all-new hero, Captain Battle.
Captain Battle debuted in a nebulous position between the two world wars. Despite his publication in 1941, he technically appeared half a year before the United States joined the war against the Axis, following the events of Pearl Harbor and other attacks.
And so at first, he didn't fight what on YouTube can only be described as the villains of World War II and the guy with the funny mustache, but rather nonsense villains such as Diagos, a race of monstrous creatures able to lift entire Navy ships.
Interestingly enough, his origin story is actually pretty sparse. All we really know about Captain Jonathan Battle is that he was the youngest soldier in World War I, a former member of the American Expeditionary Forces who lost his eye fighting in hand-to-hand combat in the Chateau territory.
And your ears do not deceive you. This man was indeed born so ready to fight crime that his name is literally John Battle.
You may be surprised to know that Captain Battle doesn't really have a whole lot in terms of explanations as to incredible strength. Like, he's not a super soldier or anything. He's just a really strong man, who also happens to be some kind of super genius with many wacky adventures of scientific knowledge.
Knowledge that he practices on unwitting prisoners of war.
Oh, and that POW? Turns out the bird people are actually humans, and Battle found a cure to whatever turned them into bird people, and this one was a kid named Nathan Hale. And because this boy remembered nothing but his name, Jonathan took that from him and renamed him Hale Battle, giving him his new sidekick. He doesn't get a superhero name, he's Hale Battle now.
So this is what passes for ethics in the 1940s, huh?
But cures for birdification are only a small part of Captain Battle's scientific arsenal. He has created a whole host of random bits of equipment across his brief history,
including the Lucifiers, a jetpack that allows him to travel at near the speed of light. Yeah, okay buddy. This so-called light speed thing is a total Ray Crocker shit, because that same speed was not enough to dodge bullets. And you have to even go faster to achieve that.
Yeah, bullets aren't that fast.
Even without these random speed of light claims though, the Lucifiers are fast enough to cross 500 miles within under a night, travel from the Sargasso Sea to the heart of Africa in a day, and turn a day's climb into a minute of flight.
Battle is able to fight just fine in the air as if he was on land, and is faster than any known projectile shell.
Unfortunately, the Lucifiers are prone to failure. either from their inability to fly when wet or their crippling weakness to bullets. Luckily, the Captain Battle is a fast enough mind to fix up the Lucifers on the spot.
And he wears the cape over it sometimes. Don't know how the cape doesn't light on fire doing that, but...
Let's be honest, the Lucifers are far from the wackiest thing at hand here. Among Battle's rather standard arsenal of dynamite, gas masks and guns is the Curvoscope.
The Curvoscope is a device that can see around the curvature of the Earth to spy anywhere on the planet. Okay, so imagine Earth, right? If you were to use a telescope, you would see straight ahead past the curve of the Earth and into space. The Curvoscope, however, sees with the curve, allowing him to use it to look at the back of his own head.
But how the fucking hell does he spy anywhere on the planet? How can you locate people like that? And what about anything in the way? It just doesn't make sense.
The best explanation? It's described as basically just magic.
Well, at least they're self-aware.
But the bulky Curvoscope setup requiring a television and all that was not convenient enough for the captain. So he later created a smaller Curvetoscope that was portable and could be brought anywhere. Pretty useful given the Curvoscope can identify the oriental features of a man with clarity.
Fucking yikes.
And track a moving submarine at full speed. But apparently it's useless in a jungle.
Oh, so that's where we draw the fucking line, huh?
And when it comes to combat, Captain Battle makes his American heritage proud by coming with a gun. His standard pistol is able to blow up an anti-aircraft gun in one shot.
That's a cheeky little 1,000,000 joules, by the way.
And the De-Witcher gun can undo magical transformation in a single shot.
Neither of which compare to the Dissolvo gun. This funny little thing fires a color ray concentrate, what most would call a laser. And on contact, it will dissolve all of your bones and nerves into mush!
Fuck, what?
A single shot reduces your bones and nervous tissue into gelatinous goo, but still somehow leaves you alive. That is absolutely horrific. Yeah, Captain Battle likes to talk about how he doesn't kill his enemies, but I think that comes off a bit hollow when he does this shit to them. Good God!
Without his weapons, Captain Battle is more than capable of simply throwing hands normally. He's adept at hand-to-hand and sword combat, able to outmaneuver a German snooker, and capable of taking on multiple men at once.
Super soldier or not, he's definitely a superhuman. Able to throw men and even dinosaurs around like ragdolls. He even uses chandeliers and warden beams as boluses and clubs. He can even accomplish on his own what normally would take 6 men to pull off.
One time, he and Hale came across a mile-long sea serpent, and the two snapped its jaw.
That would require Captain Battle to be putting his ass into withstanding the nearly 2,000 joules it would take to break their jaw on a snake that big.
Combined with the speed needed to catch a magical homing missile, and the strength to survive slamming through a brick roof, and Captain Battle made for a perfect soldier for America as it joined the Second Great War.
Captain Battle would need these skills and abilities when he headed on his greatest journey yet. A grand quest chasing clues and mysteries, finding a special sword, and fighting off dastardly villains.
All leading to... nothing. The comic was never finished.
And even his 4-issue miniseries simply reprinted this last arc without making a new ending for it.
Leaving Captain Battle without an ending. Well, kind of.
For 2 issues, Captain Battle's son would get his own comic.
Well, Hale Battle?
Nope! Captain Battle Jr. A more hit with the kids complete dickweed with no ability to follow orders. Except that time he did. And we got to see the last image of the Captain.
This sad, kind of pathetic final sight of the Captain would be the last time he'd be seen before entering the public domain. Begging for help, left to die in a German concentration camp by his son. Apparently, he'd been lured and shot by a German soldier and brought in as a prisoner of war.
What a depressing ending for Jonathan. After all he did for his nation, losing an eye, raising 2 sons, leading a brigade of boys in the name of democracy.
Torturing prisoners of war?
Yeah, and torturing prisoners of war. This is all what they left him with. No ending to his story, no chance of survival.
Since then, Captain Battle's return to the spotlight has been a tough one. In 2011, some manner of stage performance starring the Captain would run for a few episodes by serial killers, known as Captain Battle and the Thief of Tomorrow.
According to his theme song, he will kick your ass. He also has a suspiciously similar shield to one I've seen on another character.
he can also break it down.
He would also return earlier than that for a one issue in 2009, when Image Comics would release their next issue Project One, a series of anthology one-shots that would feature public domain heroes. And in Silver Streaks Comics issue 24, Captain Battle would return!
Yeah, in this comic his son dies and he declares to fight the war until his last breath. Once again robbing him of an ending, but this time even robbing him of a child.
Well, at least they gave him this Dissolvo fist thingy that has a super melty touch. It's not really something the canon Captain Battle ever used, but it's something at least.
There's also Juan Baca, the incarnation of the Captain in Chapter House Comics, who has crossed over with yet another Captain America copy. That's right, it's Canada's own Captain Canuck.
This kashmuck would probably help more if he just stayed away from me.
And perhaps most famously, Captain Battle will return in the form of an old friend.
Motherfucking Captain Battle Legacy War. Oh yeah, it's that dire.
Captain Battle in this film is famously not very powerful, being beaten down a lot over the course of the movie, and only having access to car and stick as his main weapons, along with gun he doesn't use.
Which is something of an irony, given this version of him actually is explicitly superhuman, having a healing factor that only works once and never again, and that's about it.
We've covered this incarnation of the character in a previous Not Death Battle, but what makes it even worse is that this isn't even Captain Battle. This character, Samuel Battle, is actually closer to Captain Battle Jr., being the son of the original Captain Battle.
Except that Samuel here is active in 2013, and Captain Battle Jr. was around 20 by the time of World War II. At the absolute best, this guy would be over 88 years old. Didn't think that through,
Unfortunately, that's also basically it. It's no joke to say the most culturally relevant Captain Battle has been in years was this very show's own previous episode, the mockbuster Avengers Battle Royale.
But it's not like the Captain ever fought for fame or popularity. Captain Battle may no longer be in public conscience, but one cannot say he has been entirely forgotten. Today, Lev Gleason Publications has been brought back in the form of Lev Gleason Incorporated. Maybe one day we could even possibly see an ending worthy of Jonathan Battle.
We can only hope someone gives a proper conclusion to Captain Battle, America's Avenger. In 1938, the world would be introduced to Superman, the hero that defined superheroes for almost a full century now.
Seeking to replicate its success, National Comics Publications requested for more superheroes in 1939, prompting comic book writers Robert Kane and Milton Bill Finger to create a new icon of pulp culture. Named after Scottish King Robert the Bruce and US founding father Mad Anthony Wayne, they brought forth Bruce Wayne, commonly hypothesized to be the Batman.
Little did they know that in the very same year, an old hero would be making a return to the newsstands. 6 years prior, a gentleman detective known as the Black Bat was introduced by Thrilling Publications, lasting only 6 issues before he disappeared. They would revive that very character and change him into something darker, cooler, and way more interesting.
In the magazines of a black book detective, Norman A. Daniels conceived of a sneaky crime fighter, a district attorney blinded by chemicals, who would gain heightened senses and fight crime.
This was Anthony Quinn, better known as the Black Bat.
Fun fact, due to closeness of the dates between Batman and Black Bat debuts, it's highly unlikely that they directly copied from one another on a conceptual level. But Black Bat would contain elements that would almost certainly inspire elements of Batman, like his own version of the Batcave and a few other character traits and trends that closer resemble modern Batman than the blatant murderer who just got bored one day from the original Golden Age comics.
Black Bat would more blatantly inspire Batman when Finger and Kane took inspiration from Black Bat's wrist flaps, adding the fins to Batman's gloves that we all know today.
What inspired Tony Quinn, though, was a horrific event that occurred during the trial of criminal mastermind Oliver Snate. Set to expose him with a testimony and evidence Snate didn't know of prior, the racketeer sent out his men to throw acid in the courtroom and destroy whatever incriminated him. And in an act of heroism, Quinn put his eyes on that list.
Blinded, seared with pain, and left with deep scars etched into his face, Quinn's life as an attorney was over. Left in darkness for months, it wouldn't be until a strange blonde woman came to his home that a new path would be introduced to him. He would be taken to a small rural town in Illinois, where a unique once-in-a-lifetime transplant would take place.
When it was done, not only was Quinn able to see, but he could see better. How they even pulled off a full eye transplant in 1939, when that's not even something humans do in 2026, I have no idea.
The genius Dr. Harrington modified Quinn's new eyes before the operation, opening up the cornea to expose more of the lens. This allowed Quinn to see way better than any normal man.
Which, if you're wondering, is not even close to how that works.
With his new eyes, Quinn could see in the dark as if it was no different to broad daylight. The range of sensitivity of his eyes is considered akin to a cat, though cat's eyes aren't necessarily better in every way to humans like Quinn's are.
Yeah, the black bat can see croquette wires as if they were no different to telephone poles, the former being around 5mm thick, and the latter being at a minimum still 250mm thick, meaning the bat can see 50 times the clarity of a normal person. That's not how that works, but hey, neither is any of this works!
He can see your location based on 1 second of seeing your shadow, see exact colors in the dark when there is literally no light with which to see any colors, spot a submarine in the depths of the ocean, see faint scratches on the screw of a watch, and even tell a painting is fake at a glance from the imperfections in the color harmony?
He can quite literally do what's impossible. He saw a smear of grease on the floor in pitch black darkness, like it was nothing. Well, how do you do that?
The eyes at least have an explanation. His other senses, not as much.
It's well known that people with blindness or deafness or other sensory disabilities develop heightened senses in what they still have to compensate. But Tony Quinn's body was running over time, because his senses are so insane that they're described as essentially a radar around him.
He can hear so well that he can hear you breathing in another room with enough accuracy to tell if you're in pain or not. He can hear pitches too high for the human ear to hear, tell the weight of a car by the sound of it driving up, even when too far away for anyone else to hear the car at all, and one time, he heard someone from several floors away while that person was in a soundproof room.
He can hone his senses to hear a single ticking clock within a crowded room, and to him the sound of barely audible footsteps is akin to the sound of thunder. A footstep is only 35 decibels, while thunder can reach 165. Oh, that's not too big of a gap, you might think. You'd be wrong! Decibels are logarithmic. That's a 10 trillion times difference. You can hear 10 trillion times better than you can.
His sense of touch is so precise that he can tell two pieces of paper come from the same group just by feeling the texture between his fingers, or feel bumps in a car that normal people can't without making their fingers purposefully sensitive.
He can also smell elusive odors and has a sixth sense warning him of impeding objects before he makes contact with them. With all these senses, how can he even keep up this act of being completely blind?
Oh, that's simple. He just develops a film over his eyes that makes him look blind and doesn't react when light is shined into them. In fact, the best eye surgeons in the world cannot tell that he is able to see. He's just that good.
With these new, frankly kind of impossible senses, the Black Bat will go on a campaign to take down criminals in New York City. Aided by his rubber-turned-personal butler and master of disguise, Norton Silk Kirby, the love of his life and espionage expert Carol Baldwin, and a monster of a man ex-boxer Jack Butch O'Leary, the four have become the secret operations unit behind the world's new Nemesis of Crime.
The Black Bat doesn't have any fancy weapons, but he does carry plenty of firearms. His favorite are his automatic pistols, described as either 44 or 38 caliber. There aren't many fully automatic pistols at the time, though he could be using an M1932 machine pistol, but it's likely these are semi-automatic Colt M1911s.
Guns more than powerful enough to kill people. You know what guns tend to do. He doesn't just come with pistols either. He has used long barrel rapid fire rifles, Tommy guns, submachine guns, heavy automatics, and shotguns. He even has a spare Luger and American and automatic 38 cal.
And he supplements these guns with blades and knives designed for melee combat, as well as a large supply of various tools designed for breaking and entering, primarily held within a small kit containing miniature tools like, a screwdriver, pliers, a whole automatic camera.
He's got even more tools. He can tie people up with fine silk, or even rappel down a building with a greater skill than a professional. His skeleton key lets him unlock any door ever, and his tools allow him to easily deassemble and reassemble devices. Oh, and he has a telescope. By the way, all these he made himself.
All held within his secret underground laboratory, containing all the most up-to-date devices for crime fighting and analysis. Turns out, he's kind of a brilliant detective.
While the Black Bat is never described as wearing any kind of armor, his Black Bat costume does seem to be somewhat fire resistant. And even when shredded with bullets, he has come out unharmed, implying a limited amount of bullet resistance. And if you think this looks dumb, well, joke's on you, because this artwork has always been incorrect. According to the stories, he actually looks like this.
To get around, he has multiple vehicles, including a power launch boat, which can travel 2 miles within a few hours. That's over.
It's the speed of a fucking power launch, MB.
But, I mean, yeah, but like today, who uses a 1930s to 50s power launch anymore? I just wanted to talk about both.
More importantly, he has a car, one that looks normal but is actually bulletproof. His car is even souped up and unable to be avoided. The fastest civilian model as of today is the SCC Tatora with a top land speed of 455.4.
Yeah, early 1950s at the latest point in the timeline, remember?
Shit fuck!
At this point, the top land speed for a civilian-owned car was 200.5 kilometers an hour, if we were to generally assume that the Bat's souped-up coupe could match the record-setting Jaguar XK120.
Yeah, well, I mean, sure. It helps that he's skilled enough to change a car, dodge perfectly at the last second, and spin around with only inches to spare, as well.
That's not the half of it. The Bat wouldn't even begin his crusade until he could shoot a playing card twice from 30 feet away in the dark after it was thrown in the air. He's taken out multiple foes at once, killed a man by ricocheting a bullet off his shirt button, he can tell where a bullet was fired from behind him using only where the bullet landed, and he always hits his mark, with perfect head or heart shots.
He shot a man's hand so well that it stopped the man from unpinning a grenade without hitting the grenade or anything other than the man's hand. Can perform a paralyzing net punch, knows how long you'll be unconscious for by how hard he hits you, and of course he's a master locksmith too.
And all this, everything we've mentioned, comes together to his ultimate weapon, fear. The Black Bat's crusade was defined by the fear he inspired in others. Even his own friends knew they would have feared him if they didn't know him. The Bat was so dangerous and effective that even the cops didn't support him. In particular, Captain McGraw, who was constantly on his heels trying to capture him and prove his theory that he was really Tony Quinn.
The Black Bat took down so many criminal rings you'd think he was superhuman. In fact, he was superhuman. He's fast enough to dodge automatic gunfire and pistol shots many times and run across a street so fast that someone watching might have assumed they had just imagined him. He's even described as the fastest quick draw on Earth, or even lightning speed. Okay, buddy.
His skill has allowed him to take on foes described similar to or even outright able to match his friend Butch, such as Jacques, and Butch is strong enough to shake buildings by roaring.
And no, that's just not flowery language. Silk once knew Butch was in the area because he could see dishes shaking as a result of the man roaring. Hell, Quinn has himself taken hits that shook his mansion. That's a lowly little 37,000 joules.
Putting himself through so much strain was too much in the end. He loved Carol Baldwin, but he knew he couldn't have a life with her as long as being the Bat put her in danger. His own butler and one of his only friends was constantly in trouble. Even later being promoted back to Special District Attorney, he couldn't avoid being a criminal to save lives. And one day, he stopped.
In the last story featuring the Black Bat, Tony Quinn would hang up the role and become the District Attorney of the totally real Vulcan City. While still willing to put up his dukes, he would try to live a normal life. His role was complete. America had made it through the Second World War and he could finally relax. After a decade of action, he would finally live the life he earned. In the hundreds of German stories, he even gets to marry Carol.
And since then, the Black Bat would only return in the modern day sporadically.
He would be revived by Dynamite Entertainment as a brooding anti-hero, a once corrupt district attorney trying to make amends. So you know, nothing like the Black Bat.
There's also his follow-on from Clockwork in The Legacy of the Black Bat, a comic that is weird. In this series, the Black Bat died in 1976 at the age of 74, and his mantle was taken up by someone else.
Someone else who hangs out with a superhero team along with the literal Indian deity Hanuman.
And also is his clone from the 2040s, Steve Ventura, who can no-sell an atomizer ray somehow and beam in random weapons like this magnet gun.
His most relevant return saw him come back in Rise of the Black Bat, a, yes, Tomcat mockbuster where he would use dynamite, disappear from people's views, and was, quote, blind and also can't see.
It's no joke to say that the Black Bat has been somewhat lost to time, but Is that a problem? He got an ending, and since then, despite being legal for anyone to use, has gone on to just rest. He fought, he gave, and at last he lived. And at the end of the day, isn't that the best we could ask for?
His story is over, and his fight is done. That is the legacy of the Nemesis of Crime. Hey, why does he sound like Doug Walker?
In the bowels of the city, in the black, as the Black Bat.
Alright, the combatants are ready and the weapons are set. That's not how you say that, but let's go with it anyway. Let's end this debate that no one's ever had till now.
Oh, it sounds to me like it's time for an hot death battle! And
Thank you, viewers, for the 40k of the subscribers.
Close a sec. What the fuck's wrong with you, man? Jesus.
Brandon, I got the perps.
Good job, John. Now get back. Hale's waiting on you.
Wait, I heard something. I'll get back to you. Tell Hale I might be late.
Silk! Silk! Where are you? Silk! Get up! Get up, Silk! He's dead!
Hey you! What did you do to that man?
Don't take up that tone with me.
You talk a big game. Do you know who I am?
Of course I do. Captain Battle. America's Avenger.
Of course the so-called Nemesis of Crime would know.
My reputation precedes me.
Yeah, I've heard about you, Black Bat. Killing innocent people, burning them with your stickers.
Don't believe everything you hear in the papers.
I don't need to believe what I read. I can tell a hoax when I see one. And I can see the truth right in front of me. You don't want this fight.
You have no idea what I want.
Fight!
That's not possible.
I didn't think I'd make it this far myself.
Try this on for size.
Try what? Oh. Huh. I wonder where did he go? Try this on for size. I got this in a treasure hunt.
I liberated this from a private collector.
Huh. Stealing from the real criminals.
I don't need these trinkets.
You intend to fight me without weapons?
I have weapons. Nice stick. I prefer mine.
Payback's a bitch.
Let's see how you like this.
Batter up. You damaged my lucifliers.
I figured you needed to get a little more grounded.
Heh, funny. You've just made this a lot more painful for yourself.
How'd you lose the eye?
Hand-to-hand combat. Chateau territory. It's as they say, an eye for an eye, and a whole lot more. You're tracking me way too easily for a normal man in the dark. I think it's obvious something is going on.
Acid. I was blind. I couldn't see. After a quick operation, I got better. Better than anyone on this planet.
Anyone, huh? I can do this all day, buddy.
I can do this all night. Oh shit! One little bullet, one big boom.
Behind me! Huh? Excuse me, sir.
Oh, yes? Sorry, I'm blind.
That's very good, sir. Did you see a man go through here?
Oh, yes. He went down there.
Thank you. Sir, are you sure you're so... Whoa! Oh my god. I'm losing my mind.
Not quite. Just this fight. Hey, whoa!
My car!
That's not possible,
Buddy, I am what's possible.
No!
This is the Salvo. I recommend you stand down, chum. One shot and your bones and nerves will turn into a gelatinous mush.
Maybe, but you need to aim first.
By the Salvo! Oh yeah. There you are. Where did he go? Damn, my Lucifly is over there still. Huh? We're both Americans here, Bat. Why don't you come out and fight me like one? What the? My curvoscope can see around the curve of the Earth. You can't hide from me. Try it out yourself! He's faster at the draw, but is he faster at the mind?
What? It's empty. Fine. I'll use my own. It's the end of the line, Captain Battle.
You're a good detective, but not so good with technology you've never met.
Whoa!
Made it myself. Fixed it myself. Jackpot. I didn't get hoaxed, chum, but I did avenge those who did. Oh my god. He's a fraud no more. That was gross.
We've literally seen worse. While this matchup may at a glance look incredibly one-sided, or even like a discount Captain America versus Batman, these two evened out a lot more than it might seem.
It may be reasonable to assume that Captain Battle's explicitly superhuman strength made him a way too great a foe for the Bat to match, but that's far from the case.
Yes, Captain Battle could swing around multiple men, logs, and dinosaurs. Yes, he could perform tasks that require 6 men easily. Yes, he could withstand the force needed to snap the jaw of a giant snake. But believe it or not, these feats weren't anything the Bat couldn't handle.
Remember Butch? Yeah. His ability to shake a house by roaring is extremely impressive here. The Bat isn't quite his equal for sure, but he has contested with him, beaten down foes described similarly, and beaten jocks who himself could throw Butch around. Hell, the Bat has himself survived hits that shook his entire mansion.
It's likely that Captain Battle was still stronger though. After all, those Diablos can move around boats. Even assuming the low end of a 16,000-ton World War I Navy vessel, just one of these Diablos would be outputting 470 million joules. That's 12,000 times greater than Butch's house shake. But then again, Butch did that by screaming. This hilarious study, Can Human Screams Power a Roller Coaster?, determined that one person produces 0.05 joules per second of screaming. And assuming a sustained solid average scream of 3 seconds, Butch should have produced 0.17 joules, making his scream 218,000 times greater than a normal person. Upscaling the high end of a normal person's punch at around 470 joules, we find that Butch's punching strength would cap out at 102 million joules, making Captain Battle only 4 times stronger, a strength gap that the Bat is more than used to having to deal with.
You can say the same for their arsenals as well. Captain Battle's equipment is way more wacky and wild. His normal pistol made explosions way too strong for the Bat to survive, and his Dissolvo was a surefire instant win.
But in practicality, the same went the other way. Remember, Captain Battle canonically went down because of a bullet. It is narratively necessary that he can be taken out by bullets, and no feats shown have ever gone against this notion.
And with how insanely good a marksman the Bat is, one shot is likely all he'd need. Even the Lucifers, which aren't even something the Bat has really encountered before, aren't a certain fire win con to get Battle out of harm's way. They've been shot down before, and quite regularly in fact, by far less capable marksmen than Tony Quinn. Not to say it wouldn't help, it would absolutely give Battle better control of the battlefield, and a sizable advantage before it gets taken out of the fight.
The Bat's arsenal may seem more mundane. His guns are weaker, his vehicle's slower, his equipment's less unique, but they're effective enough to one-shot Battle just like Battle can one-shot him.
You could even argue that the Bat would have no issue taking Battle's guns and using them back on him. In terms of skill, there's basically no contest.
Surprisingly so, in fact. Jonathan Battle apparently takes the claim of the youngest soldier to have fought in World War I, which would make him younger than the 14-year-old Brace Beamer during that time. Fun fact, Brace Beamer will go on to be the iconic voice of the Lone Ranger from 1941 to the end of his original radio show in 1954.
Having fought through World War I and then continued to fight crime up to and into the duration of World War II, he would have battled foes potentially from 1914 to as late as the 1940s, potentially 26 full years of experience alongside military training.
Comparatively, Tony Quinn has only been active for under a decade. Though a few years have passed since that story, he's not come close to fighting for nearly 3 full decades, let alone 2.5.
And yet, in spite of that and his lack of formal military or even police training, the Bat's feats of skill far away eclipse Battle's. While Captain mostly relies on his immense strength to get the job done, the Bat has done way more impressive stuff with and without his guns.
Not only is he a crack shot as discussed, he can also do uncanny things, like know the origin point of a bullet without seeing the shot, just the point of impact. And in a fight, he's been able to perform paralyzing neck strikes and take advantage of weak points to take down much larger and stronger foes.
Battle may have beaten 10 men at once, but that's not really that much more impressive than the Bat killing 7 men in a single fight. He knows how long you'll be unconscious for when he hits you, just because he's that good. He's also beaten a man with a gun at a distance using a fishing rod while still playing off as a blind man.
It's not even uncommon for him to outclass those more experienced at a task. He can repel with greater skill than those who do it for a living. In a direct fistfight, the Bat easily has a skill advantage.
His super senses would help too, allowing him to essentially know what attacks are coming just by feeling them, even if they're coming in from beyond his field of view. Battle certainly won't be able to do any sneaking around, that's for sure.
But to be fair, Battle's experience and superior formal training could probably help him even out the skill difference by a little. He still takes out groups of men solo in direct combat.
Battle is just generally smarter, but being a brilliant scientist and inventor only means so much in a fisticuffs brawl.
Basically capping out in that he'd probably be able to fix any damaged equipment. It's probably a little more helpful than the Bat's superior detective skill.
It's also not impossible for him to just disappear. He might not be able to do this in broad daylight, but here's a fun fact. Across 60 stories, the Black Bat has basically never acted during daytime. It is generally more likely for Captain Battle to come into a fight without using his guns than it is for the Bat to even be active as the Bat during the day.
Yeah, you might think it's giving the Bat an unfair advantage to take place at night, but it really isn't. Captain Battle is equally capable at any time of the day, while the Bat is at normal capacity during the night and actively weaker in the day. Even ground for the fight is the nighttime.
And as such, the Bat would be able to take advantage of his impeccable stealth to, say, get behind Captain Battle and shoot him. You know, the exact same thing that took Battle out in the comics.
Of course, Battle could potentially get around this with the Curvoscope, or at least the handheld portable version.
But that was unlikely to work more than once. The Bat certainly would take or shoot that device before Captain Battle could use it a second time.
This gave the Bat many ways to work around Battle's wackier arsenal and greater strength. So this fight came down to a single factor: speed.
When it came down to it, who would get off the first winning shot is the real deciding factor.
So as a start, the Black Bat's car could at best go at 200.5 kilometers an hour, while Battle's Luciflyers can go from the Sargasso Sea to Central Africa at about half a day.
A distance of roughly 2,536.7 kilometers in half a day would be equal to 211.32 kilometers per hour, putting it just above the highest possible end for Bat's car.
The Bat could also travel the width of a street faster than human eyesight, or within 1/60th of a second, or 0.16 seconds.
American streets are actually really wide relative to the rest of the world. According to the study, Street Standards and the Shaping of Suburbia by Michael Southworth and Aaron Ben Joseph, residential roadways were 30 feet wide even back in the 1850s, and up to 50 feet by 1935. That would require Bat to move at 914.4 meters per second to cross that distance in that time. Over 2.6 times the speed of sound.
That's actually faster than any of Captain Battle's direct movement feats. But he has been able to dodge anti-aircraft rounds, which during World War II could have reached up to 840 meters per second, meaning the Bat would only be going at 1.08 times faster than what Battle can already dodge.
But Battle can dodge multiple shots at once while at that speed, showing a degree of reactionary speed the Bat simply hasn't or doesn't have at that pace compared to Battle. At best, the Bat has dodged automatic gunfire, which does still get within the 100 meters per second range, but not that close.
And then there's also the claim that Battle can fly faster than any shell, and some shells in World War II were able to go over 1,000 meters per second.
Which he might scale to, even if the point of the timeline this claim is made is far from clear. Either way, he's either slightly below or slightly above the Black Bat using these feats, but always within a pretty similar range.
Ironically, it seems we're going nowhere fast. Even in speed, these two are shockingly well matched.
Until you consider their highest hyperbolic statements. The fastest the Bat has been described as was like lightning, while Captain Battle has been placed near the speed of light. Even half the speed of light would put Captain Battle at 1,241 times faster, and these claims for Battle are much more consistent. Even Battle's own inferior clone has also been described at moving at lightning speed.
But it's hard to say that alone is enough to give Battle a solid win. It's a set of hyperbolic claims that are not supported by the narrative or anything else. When it comes down to it, these two are so evenly matched that maybe one even smaller factor might be what really determines it. Let's head back to the Dissolvo gun.
Yeah. What about it?
The Dissolvo isn't just a gun, it's a ray gun.
Wait. Oh shit! This changes everything. Being a gun that shoots what appears to be a beam of light, it's the only weapon between the two that neither character can dodge.
Exactly. This means that in a direct fight, whoever has this weapon is most likely to land a shot first, and that gives Captain Battle the small edge he needs to actually cinch the winning point.
This was a shockingly close match. Their strength, speed, and deadlinesses made it a hard one to decide. But while the Bat held the advantage in skill, Captain Battle had the most effective weapon, and combined with the Lucifer's better mobility and decades of more experience, it was just enough to barely inch out and give him the win.
And if you're wondering, expanding it to using all of their content makes it a lot more clear-cut for Captain Battle. He now has ways to dissolve the Bat in melee, he has a shield to deflect range attacks, more laser guns, and at that point the light speed statements would be small potatoes.
And yes, as funny as it is to think about, him surviving attacks from Metal Man in the same fight where Metal Man could match Bulk, who could run across the DC multiverse this fast and survive hits from the universe-busting Almighty Four would be, well, he wouldn't scale, but he'd downscale enough that even if he were 1 undecillion times weaker than them, he'd still outscale Black Bat forever. Comparatively, Black Bat would literally only get some dynamite, and I guess scaling to Captain Fraud in this very episode wherein he got, yeah.
Not to mention the ability to beam in weapons, and while some might help like this long-range magnet, how much does it help when Battle is so much stronger and faster now?
Public domain characters are weird, man. Oh yeah, Battle still loses to the other mockbusters, he doesn't have the stats to match, and the Dissolvo is not going to work against the Metal Suit, strange purple creature, and god that is not human being. Anti-projectile will be eaten up. Thanks for the meal.
Oh! Jonathan really put the quintessential time in to take the Bat out of this battle.
The winner is Captain Battle, America's Avenger.